We're gonna do the flag before.
Yeah, we'll do it. We'll do it before. And then if there's a significant amount of people, we'll do it again. Actually, no, we'll just wait and do the flag salute at the start of the main meeting when everybody's here. All right, with that, I will bring this special meeting of the Dunsmuir City Council on August 22nd, 2024 into order at 5:03 p.m. All right, we'll start with a roll call.
Councilmember Keisler,
Here.
Councilmember Deutsch,
Here.
Councilmember Lucchese.
Here.
Councilmember Bryan,
Present.
Mayor Clarno.
Here. All right, with that, we will move on to item number 3, public comment on closed session item today, which is the annual employee evaluation for the city manager, government code 54957. This has the same rules as the usual public comment. 3 minutes. I will give a 30-second warning when your time is almost up. Please limit any comments to this particular item. Please state your name and address at the beginning, if you so choose, for the record. And with that, I will open this up for public comment.
I personally haven't been real happy with Dustin Reef, the city manager. As you guys know, I went back to him after dealing with the inspector looking for help, and he chose to use that opportunity to basically treat me like I was doing something illegal in town, and I didn't have a lot of appreciation for that on how he handled that. Came to you guys for help, and in the process of that, obviously, you guys heard from a lot of people about the inspector and proceeded to unanimously vote to get rid of the inspector. And it's been, I think, probably close to 80 days, and he was supposed to be getting fired on that next week. Dustin Rafe decided not to do that for some reason, used the full 60 days, and then kind of stagnantly sandbagged the whole deal. I view that as a complete disrespect to the city of Dunsmuir, the people of Dunsmuir, and to you four that voted unanimously. To me, it's he doesn't appreciate how things work in a town. He only cares about what he wants to do. He has a lack of respect for everybody here, everybody in this building. So for me, for him to continue to use him and to continue to keep his position in this town, I absolutely agree with getting rid of him and get rid of him for good. There's no value in Dustin Rafe in Dunsmuir at all, period. That's how I feel about it, and I hope you guys agree.
Thank you. All right. Anyone else?
I just want to say that I feel like in a town like this, we need a real leader. I mean, we're at a point where we're trying to bring businesses back into this town. We're trying to grow, and it doesn't help when we have somebody that's running the town and representing the town that's consistently lying, talking badly about the people in the town, and is pretty much difficult to deal with, difficult to find, difficult to get meetings with. But I will say that over the last year and a half, he's lied to my face. I can't even count the number of times. And it seems like he's kind of the reason that there's this division with the property owners and business owners and city council. I feel like a lot of it is on his shoulders because he's telling you guys one thing, telling us one thing, and he's kind of created this division, which has prevented us from moving forward and growing as a community. So I don't think he is a good leader, and I don't think he's the right person for Dunsmuir.
Thank you. All right. Anyone else in person today? All right. Seeing no one else in person, we will move on to Zoom. If you would like to make a comment via Zoom, go to the reaction tab and raise your hand. Seeing none, I will close public comment on this item. And we will adjourn to closed session. And then the regular session will re-adjourn at 6 p.m. All right, I will bring this meeting of the Dunsmuir City Council for August 22nd, 2024 back into order. And we'll begin with report on item number 4, to the employee evaluation for the city manager has been completed for today. There will be a second follow-up session. So with that, we did not do the flag salute at the beginning to give everyone here the opportunity to join us. With that, everyone please rise.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And,
Raining, is that what you're looking at?
I was gonna say,
What's that?
raining outside,
I
and
gotta go roll my windows.
I would like to extend sympathies to anyone who, like Councilmember Preisler or myself, have a window that's down.
I also have windows down.
So,
Or anybody else that has moose or hairspray in their hair, you know, rain don't work.
let's move on here. Where are we? Yeah, we're back to the
7.
session. We did that.
7.
Yeah. Yep, so the report on action is that the employee evaluation for the city manager has been completed. And there will be a second follow-up session in the next meeting. With that, we'll move on to item number 8, public comment. This is a time for members of the public to make any comments they wish on relating to city business. If you do have comments relating to anything on items number 14 or 15, which is old business and new business, I do ask that you hold your comment to that time, as there will be dedicated public comment for those 3 items. Please state your name and address at the beginning of your statement. If you do choose to state your name, I won't start your time until you begin your statement, as long as it's in the first sentence. And everyone will have 3 minutes. I will give a 30-second warning. And with that, anyone who'd like to speak, please come up to the podium. And we'll do in-person first, followed by Zoom. Rather ominous.
Man, oh my God. What's I?
Peter Arth, 5859 Sacramento Avenue. As one that attended the town hall that involved both city officials and the Cosmont advisory group, I do want to reflect on the one citizen comment that got a standing ovation. That came from Mark Rowley, the owner of the Mossbury Hotel, who turned his back on the city officials at Cosmont and talked to us out in the audience and said, realistically, we can't expect the city council and the staff to do everything to bring Dunsmuir back to where it needs to be. It is on the citizens as well to be leaders and to participate. And that brings me back to my plea, I think mostly to the mayor and to Councilmember Bryan, to start meeting and planning now for a 5-member oversight committee to oversee the future of Dunsmuir's historic district. Whether it leads to actually forming a district that can attract grants and attract low interest loans. We all recall that when Councilmember Geisler was mayor in 2014, we had a joint meeting of the Planning Commission and the City Council and a unanimous vote to reestablish the Historic District Oversight Committee that historian Ron McLeod said worked very well while it was in existence. And for whatever reason now, the only governance is 2 members of the Planning Commission that have no power, no budget, no mandate, And as Ron said, the historic district has suffered. The suggestion from Councilmember Bryan is, well, let's do the town hall, let's do the survey. And so its brief appearance on the agenda led to it now disappearing into some sort of a limbo. It's taken much longer for the survey than anybody thought. It's not going to get any better for the historic district. I'm sure Mark Rowley's happy to meet. I'm happy to meet. There are investors
30
in
seconds.
Dunsmuir that would be happy to meet because it's in our interest as community builders and investors to change the status quo, not later, not in January, but now. Thank you.
Thank you. Does anyone else in the room have public comment? Seeing none, if you are on Zoom and would like to make a public comment, please raise your hand. I see we have one up there.
Hello, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Can.
Great. Hi guys, Allison Lashevsky, 5334 River Avenue. I just have some general concerns about things that were discussed that have not come to fruition and that have been on future agenda items. I came up with a short list for tonight's meeting, but I'm sure that there's more. I'm confused about the status of the Public Works building. I thought it would even be started to be built by now, and it's not. I know that there was talk about hiring an HR consultant. I haven't heard anything back about that at all. I served on the snow removal committee, and winter is upon us, and there has been no action on that item. I don't know what's going on with the next Park and Rec joint meeting. There's no new building official. And there was no talk recently about the special event ordinance. I think that we lost a lot of money as a town with that this past summer and all summers. I don't understand why there's nothing on the future agenda. I don't know what happened to these items, and I would like them addressed. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, Mr. Juarez, you should be unmuted now.
Yes. I would like the opportunity to speak to the city council for longer than 3 minutes. As proposed in the last meeting. How would I go about doing that? And I guess you answer back, but I have great I'm very optimistic about what positive things can be happening in Dunsmuir. And in spite of all the things that are happening, I still feel strongly that it's going to be a positive outcome. But if you could explain to me how I would go about getting where I can make a presentation for a longer period as was proposed the last meeting, I'd be grateful. That's it.
All right, thank you very much. All right, is there any other further public comment before we on seeing none, I will close public comment for this evening. And with that, we'll move on to council and staff. Staff and or council and staff comments. And we'll start off. Does the sheriff department have anything for us?
Yeah. Judging Thomas filling in the Sergeant Ortiz, just a few things. They wrote down here, so for the contracted hours of the 5,280 contract hours that we are contracted for, we to date have 6,739 of those hours, which is 128% of the contracted hours. The number may change as Sergeant Ortiz gets additional logs. For the month of July, 383 total hours, 187 calls for service or self-initiated activity, 11 cases, 8 arrests, 4 misdemeanor and 4 felony. And the only notable incident from last month, there was a report of human remains located at the Botanical Gardens Park. The remains did not appear to be human. So they were collected and sent off to DOJ for further analysis, but the forensic tech at the department does not believe that they are human. So
Thank you.
that's it.
Thank you very much, Deputy.
Yep.
City- Yeah, exactly. City Manager Reef.
I have a question for.
Yeah,
I think you may be incorrect on your hour statement because the contract starts July 1st and goes around to the next July. So maybe just check with
I will,
these on
yeah.
the stats. Because
He left
we should
us.
be a month into the contract and that makes sense. You'd be 120% if you
I don't know if he was just
didn't reset it.
going off last year. I do not know.
But thank you.
Yep.
all right. City Manager Reef.
So the governor had recently put out an executive order to his to all the state agencies to remove homeless encampments. And so I know the city of Wairika is looking at something. And so I have working with John to kind of review that. Great.
If you do not have the, which app is it? The
Watch duty.
Watch Duty, please download it now on your phone and it will notify you if we need to evacuate at any point during this meeting due to a lightning fire.
And then there's also the lightning app too.
Yes.
To cover floods.
What's the first one you said, Julia?
Watch Duty.
Watch
It's an
Duty.
app that you can get on your phone. It'll notify, Watch Duty. Yeah. It will notify you if there's any emergencies in the area and we need to evacuate. Also, we do have professionals here, so hopefully we will all know.
And
We're in the fire
plus,
department.
yeah, and plus the other thing, I just want to actually, while we're on the note of watch duty. It's one of the best sources of information for fires, not even just locally, but any fires within California, Oregon, Washington. That you may be curious about. I know when the park fire was going on, I was checking it fairly regularly, so I can't recommend having that app on your phone enough. So, all right, sorry to interrupt, City Manager.
All right, no worries. All right, so anyway, John is reviewing information related to that, and we may be bringing that forward. Part of the concern is that if they push them off of state property and you're the last one standing, then you end up with all of the homeless people. So it's something that we do need to review. We do have a no camping ordinance, but it's very, I don't know, weak, I would say. So we're reviewing that to see if we need to address it a little more. The downtown tank is substantially completed and we're in the process of closeout for that. So now we are fully online with the supervisor valve and now pushing all of our water back to Mossbury Falls in accordance with what the state has asked us to do. And we're in kind of a testing phase to get data and see how it's working and functioning. We have had some comments and calls to City Hall about it being dry. And so we are aware of that. Also working with the high school to enter into an agreement for the ball fields. I talked with Mike Rodriguez and we just felt it was better the city take on that agreement rather than the Park and Rec District. And so I will be bringing that forward hopefully at the next meeting if I get it reviewed in time. And we're going to start going out for equipment bids as we're in the new fiscal year and start working towards the new budget. And a quick update on I know Allison mentioned it and the Public Works building. It is currently in USDA funding cycle. Blake got a message that we need to do some additional preliminary engineering. So we're in communication with them to try and figure that out. But it is USDA has unfortunately had a mass changeover of employees from the bottom all the way to the federal level in that department. And so there's a number of hangups and slowdowns at the county, the state and the federal level. And so and I've experienced that with another agency. So that is one of the challenges. So Blake and I are discussing what
Question on
other
that?
options we have.
Is there any way to move forward and part of it, like destroying the buildings that are there and, getting that ready? So at least we can maybe use some of that for storage over the winter?
Yes, and so that area, we have discussed just bidding, just doing the demolition and site work. So then it's just come in, build the concrete and the building. And so we have discussed that, and that's something that we're gonna probably look at, just pulling that aspect out and doing that work. And just doing that out of pocket, as we do
Sure,
have,
yeah.
we do have funds for that, but we would bring that back to council. But we do have money for that in the general fund. That's kind of some of the money we didn't spend last year associated with that. We would come back and do a budget amendment associated with that. If we
That'll
need
give
to.
everyone a sense that there's real progress taking
Yes.
place. So thank you.
We couldn't do it while the pool was open because the back side of the one building was the fence for the pool.
Oh, yeah.
And so we were kind of held up on that,
Okay.
and the pool just closed, like a week ago or so.
Cool. Thank you.
The Rotary still has some things in that building we have to
Do
get out.
they? I thought they were all out.
Which,
There are the plywood painted cutouts. The cat, the candle, that was done by the 6th grade. Jesus.
that's
I guess
it.
we gotta get it over there then.
Long time ago, yeah, so we still gotta get those out. We don't got no more room in storages to put them. So.
I'll coordinate with Will and we will follow back up on that. And that's all I have.
All right, Councilmember Lucchese.
I'm gonna be very quick. Went to the chamber mixer on Tuesday. I believe pretty much all of us at some point were there. Really happy to see Kate Clother as the new executive director. Really lovely time at Railroad Park. Lovely to hear from all of the businesses, and just wanted to remind all of the council members that when we go to chamber events, those are events for the businesses and not necessarily for all of us. But had a really nice conversation with those business owners, and happy to go to more of those. And then it is election season, just to remind everybody, including members of the public, like, please just let's keep it positive this year. I understand criticism is fair. That's okay. But I think we've really benefited as a city the last couple of elections from having a really positive outcome, as opposed to picking on everybody and, spreading misinformation. So just maybe let's take the high road this year, please, for all of our heart rates. So thank you. That's it.
Councilmember Keisler.
I would like to commend Michael and Kate putting on a hell of a brew fest. I would like to know who was responsible for watering the field before the event, because it was saturated. It was nothing but a disaster. So maybe we won't do that in the future. Anyway, had a good time. Did good. Thanks.
Councilmember Deutsch.
A few things. We had a really good meeting of the Dunsmuir Community Care Team. We meet once a month. It's kind of hosted by the Resource Center. And one of the things we got was a briefing from mental health. And there's a new system you may not be aware of. If there's somebody having a mental health crisis, there's a number you can call that's different from 911. It's 988. And that will reach somebody on call. They have procedures to work with the sheriff's department, how they all do it. There's a whole kinds of protocols and tests questions that are asked before they get involved. I've asked them to come and give a briefing to the council so that we're all aware of this. And I think this will help a lot with some of the crises that we have, and whether it's drug related or just mental health. Next, I wanted to point out that Building Dunsmuir's Future, we had that event back in May, and we had 4 teams that have identified things they want to do. I realized after 9 years that there's no sense of trying to start anything in the summer in Dunsmuir. So I haven't really kind of reached out to them, but I'm looking forward to bringing it back in September and getting on with that. And one of the things I've already talked about is doing oral history, and I've got some volunteers in that already. I want to talk a little bit about what's going on with the bus system. that I've been pushing. A couple of years ago, this council voted unanimously to send unmet needs to the local transportation commission, saying that our bus system is not serving us. We had a graduate student from UCLA come in and gather all kinds of information and make all kinds of recommendations about grants and everything else. The one thing that we needed to do as a local transportation commission was we needed to do what all the other counties in the state have done, except for us and one other county. And that is have a separate transit agency that actually runs the buses. Right now, the buses are run out of the county. And if you're in the county, just like if you have a hammer, everything's a nail. If you're from the county, everything is how do we get people up to Wairika and back? And so we've come up with a new vision, and there's a move that's taking place either October or November. The county will be creating a joint powers authority that will act as a transit agency. And one of the first things we're looking at doing, and I'm pushing to get done, which is to come up with a public-private partnership between this new transit agency and Mount Shasta Taxi to start providing service to the ski park during the winter. And that's something that I know both supervisors, Cobb Seth and Valenzuela, both in trying to do. So that's something that's moving along. And ultimately, the goal is down the line to have a half-hour bus running around Dunsmuir every day throughout the day, express buses up and down. So that's making progress, and I'm excited about that. The last thing I want to bring up is that we've been working on getting a landing page up for the Wi-Fi hotspot systems. And today I had a really good meeting, including our finance director, Blake, who was there, along with Kate Clother, who's our new executive director of the chamber. And we had a really good conversation about this. And so basically what we're lining up to do, and this is something that came out of the mixer we had the other night, it turned out that the owner of Cave Springs, who you may know, has been creating an incredible website saying visit Dunsmuir, and has all kinds of videos they've created and put up on social media. It's just incredible. Well, it turns out that he was there last night, and he talked to Kate and says, hey, I just built this thing. Why don't you as the chamber take it over, and you can use this as the landing page for your hotspots. So we're working on making that happen. And so the new name for this system will be called Visit Dunsmuir. One word, the capital D in the middle. And that'll give everybody who comes in, we'll have QR codes everywhere. We're lining up to get all of our events, all of our restaurants, all of our other things into that. But I'm really excited about working now with Kate, and she's already come up with a great thing moving forward. And Visit Dunsmuir will be how you can come downtown and log on. And the whole idea is to capture tourists and keep them here. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, it sure was good to hear your voice, Allison, I gotta say. Anyway.
Vice Mayor Bryan.
Yeah. Also like to echo welcome to Kate, chamber, wonderful mixer. In addition to that, I don't know if this is your favorite sponsored event, but I know Quentin Gaddy helped host it. There was a business roundtable, literally last Wednesday, yesterday, a week ago. Several people told me that it was a very robust, frank conversation and productive. I think it's part of maybe the next stage in this economic development journey we're on. As part of the feedback from that discussion and talking with other people involved, I feel that the survey Cosmon has put out, while it's certainly very applicable to the study, might not best serve really what council wants to hear before we set prioritize. On that note, I'd like to move here shortly that maybe in the next meeting or two or three, we bring back an item and actually work on the prioritization of the economic development plan. But I'd like, with council's permission, to develop an additional survey, maybe a little shorter, a little bit more approachable. We'll provide that input with council in a systematic manner. I'm willing to do it myself, but I get you guys' blessing.
You got my list.
Cool. Thank you. Looking forward to continuing the downtown revitalization.
Cool. I'll keep mine pretty short. First off, I just wanted to address Allison's public comment. I believe we have the HR consultant. We're looking at the next meeting.
Hopefully.
Right before council.
Yeah,
hopefully.
I just
Yeah.
received the agreement today, so.
Okay.
Yep.
So that, yeah, so the HR consultant should go in front of one of the next, in one of the next two meetings. I'd also like to have snow removal dealt with soon as well. Then I really just have to say thank everyone who came to the Brewfest, and also a special thanks to everyone who volunteered I know pretty much everyone on the council did something. I greatly appreciate that. And also just working with Kate at the chamber on putting the event on was great. So once again, another shout out to her coming on board for the chamber. So,
A lot of people like what she's doing, huh?
yeah. All right, and with that, we will move on to item number 10, committee reports.
Nope.
All right, that will move on to item number 11, approval of minutes for August 1st, 2024.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Minutes approved. That will move on to item number 12, the consent agenda, which consists of one item, the check register for 7/27 through 8/16.
We will note that the check register was not included in the agenda, so it's as it wasn't printed, so we may need to table that.
Yeah, let's table that.
Okay.
We'll bring it back.
No, I'll second that motion.
All right, all those in favor of tabling the check register?
Aye.
Aye. Item tabled. We have no public hearing today, so we'll move on to item number 14, old business. We have two items. We'll start with item number A, Union Pacific Railroad cleanup, Unified Command update.
Good evening. I'm Peggy Egbuhai. I am the Senior Director of Public Affairs for Union Pacific Railroad. Thank you, Mayor and Council. Just really here to announce that we do have an open house scheduled for Monday, the 26th, I believe, at the community center at 6. It'll be from 6 to 7:30. Also want to just update the council and mayor that we did hand out flyers relative to the updated testing that we did, just general information about the remediation project and an announcement about the open house. So we are very excited to share all the good work that we've been doing out there. I know it's there's been a lot of questions and we are preparing a lot of visuals. We have subject matter experts from Unified Command that will be there ready to answer all of the questions that the citizens have had, that you guys have had, and really excited to engage with the community in this way.
Do you have something we could post online and share around to get the word out? Or should we just make our own and just schedule it that way?
No, I think we already did.
Oh, did we already?
It's on the city website.
Oh, good. Never mind. Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, so just that's basically the update. Again, more to come. We are definitely wanting to make sure that there's the information that's out there. Everything that's out there is the most up-to-date information. We're sharing it and adding it to the websites. We're going to be updating the EPA's website, making that available. Also, the GeoTracker is the website the State Water Board has with all the documents and all the testing reports, and that will be updated as all the testing continues to occur.
What was the name of that website again?
The GeoTracker. And on the flyer, there's 2 QR codes to both of these websites. So if you would like some flyers, I can leave them behind as well.
So for the people that don't have the documentation, what is the response to the concern we had at our last meeting about the testing? How did that come out? Did the testing come out that everything's okay?
That's correct. So the testing to come out that there specifically is no harm to health or fish or wildlife. There is a duration of time, 4 days maximum with 3 hours every day in 1 week is kind of the upper level that we tested for that is safe for the river.
I just have a question. It brought to my attention that it wasn't so much tests, but a test that happened since the wall started being removed. Can you assure us that there's daily testing happening now? Because it's an evolving situation. I know Dunsmuir's felt that if we can't be updated on a day-to-day level, we need to just have a blanket warning to not swim in the river, because many people here swim, fish, enjoy the river daily, and we just want accurate information. So do you know, could you assure us on how often testing is happening?
The Unified Command met today and is committed to testing weekly. And uploading those test results and updating the website accordingly.
So how many tests have there been prior to this?
There's been 1 test.
So just 1 test the entire time?
Right.
And
Worst
now,
case scenario
going
test.
forward, we're going to test weekly.
That's correct.
Okay. But we see some days there's lots of oil and, visual matter coming down the river. Some days there aren't. Is there any way, I know you have a lot of people there, you might be able to communicate more effectively with the city on, hey, we're removing a big chunk of the wall. We should really warn people not to be in the river this particular day. We really applaud the work that's being done. I think it's been brought up at the council many times that we're grateful that after 100 years of oil leaking into the river, it's
Right.
no longer going to happen. But we have another year or two to get there. And we'd rather be safe than sorry, because a lot of people, I don't think Unified Command realized last meeting that there's people that come up here every summer for 30 years, families have, and they swim in the river with children, et cetera. And there's just not a lot of, I don't know, I wouldn't want to risk it on, oh, well, as long as you stay in no more than 4 days in a row for more than 3 hours, on average, that should be good, especially when the hourly difference seems to be something we might be able to track. Like, you guys are there observing the source, so I don't know if there's any discussion on more of a daily update.
Yeah, we're definitely monitoring the excavation as it's happening, and we're shutting it down when the turbidity is increased, right?
And at that moment, does someone pick up the phone and call Dunsmuir and say, hey, make sure everybody knows?
I would have to get back to you on that.
Thank you. And I'm not trying to be hard, but
No,
that's
that's
what
fine.
the community really wants.
Completely fair, yes.
It's, we understand a huge environmental remediation projects happening. We just don't want to damage or hurt any of our community in that process.
Right, and we've installed additional water barriers and we continue to monitor and grow that so that those levels are reduced to nothing, right? So that's ongoing. It's an ongoing process. It's, we didn't have this issue when it was dry excavation. It's a different animal that we're dealing with now.
Yeah, and we're in peak season for people being in the river too, so it's.
Right.
As you can imagine, folks reach out to us. It's a special sacred spot down there. And so they're concerned. So that's why we're as concerned. So I'm appreciating the fact that you're coming up with weekly things that we can reassure people. And I'm looking forward to your presentation.
Right,
So-
yeah.
I have a question here, specifically regarding around the fact that this, Vice Mayor Brian pointed out that there's, it's kind of sporadic. I just want to make sure that the way the testing is done isn't going to automatically produce negative results or positive results for that matter. Positive, we need to know. But in that, is the testing being done at the same time on one day every week? Because if that's the case, I want to make sure that if that, if it's being done on a Monday morning first thing, and it's had all, and they haven't been doing any work for that, then there wouldn't be anything in the river potentially. So I just want to make sure that if you're doing, I would like to see more frequent tests than once a week. But if they are being done once a week or every other day or something like that, I would really feel a lot more comfortable if those tests were done at kind of random times or on random days, not necessarily, or if there is something seen in the river, not just every day at this time, just so that way it doesn't just accidentally line up in a negative way with the work schedule and therefore something doesn't get caught.
Correct. Yeah. So the testing will be done as a result of us excavating. So when we're not going to be testing the water because that really would be kind of a false test, right?
Cool.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, me too. Thank you.
All right. Any other questions from council before we move into public comment on this item? All right. And then just so members of the public are aware, you can ask questions. We'll get all the way through public comment. And then if there is any questions, I'll give them an opportunity to answer any questions that do come up from the public. So with that, I will open this item up to public comment. Please limit your public comment to just this item, 3 minutes, 30 seconds. And if you wouldn't mind just waiting around and just listening to any of the public comment that does come up, be greatly appreciated. So with that, I'll open this item up to public comment.
Peter R. still the same address. With all due respect, the notice that I received as a resident on Sacramento Avenue, right next to the river, actually speaks to, out of an abundance of caution, avoid contact with the river if there is visible oil sheening and or cloudy weather. It further goes on to say, while we don't recommend a fishery closure at this time, while more data is being collected, OEHHA advises avoiding consuming fish caught in the areas of visible sheen or odor. I think that's what our residents and visitors need to know. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Debbie Spagnolo, 4120 Edith Street in Dunsmuir. I contacted the EPA and I don't understand what they sent me back. It does say here that an anonymous person made a comment, and this is what it says. Indian Pacific Railroad is working in the city of Dunsmuir, and they are tearing down the old roundhouse, I believe is what you call it. The cement wall is coming down and there's tons of oil going into the river, and they say there's nothing wrong. I think the EPA needs to come out and check it out. And if they're damaging our river, they need to be stopped now. So what do I do to further this? It came in as an anonymous thing on my phone. I don't understand, because I know I contacted them to ask them what they were doing, because the last meeting, you guys were talking about the oil going over, and the fishermen like to keep it up there so they could fish. So, and then that flyer that came, it does sound pretty scary that there's, I agree, they need to have more testing done. And I think they are damaging the river, because there's people that are living in Castella that are telling me that the water's tasting funny, that I don't know exactly what this lady said here, but I think there's something wrong. I think we need to check it out better. We had enough with the Cantera Loop spill. We don't need any more damaging our river. So I don't know how to go about it. There's phone numbers on here for me to call and stuff, which I'm going to do and follow up on it, because I don't like it. There was enough damage with Cantera Loop. We don't need this going on. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, is there any other public comment this evening? If you're on Zoom, please raise your hand or go to the reactions tab and raise your hand. Seeing none, I will close public comment for this evening on this item.
Let me answer that concern. I'm sorry, your name is? Yeah, I thought, so we actually have somebody from the EPA on. They're monitoring this regularly. They're the ones that are pushing this, and they have a unified team of people that are working this, and that's what she's part of. So the EPA is not only aware of it, they're leading it. They're the ones who said, oh, you got a real problem down there with oil for the last 100 years. And they're the ones coming in and cleaning it up. So everything they're doing is to get rid of all the garbage. And it just means that sometimes things can happen. And that's what the testing does, is keep us about. But we're keeping track of it and we're getting answers. And so I think that we're doing fine as best we can right now.
Well, no back and forth.
Yeah. I'll talk to you later if you want some more information.
And I'd also very much suggest to everyone to go to the open house at the 26th. You said that was at the community building?
Yes.
From 6 to 7:30.
6 to 7. All right. Thank you so much for coming today.
Thank you.
I'll leave some extra files.
Please.
Yes, please do. All right, with that, we'll move on to item number B, review and approval of requests for proposal for building inspector services. City Manager Reed.
Mayor and Council, before you, I have the request for proposals for building official for the city of Dunsmuir, and with a timeline for submissions of September 27th. And then we will review those, do our interviews, and I haven't put an adoption date on there, but hopefully no, first part of November. Cool.
All right.
Any questions?
I guess the big question I would just ask is, knowing that Councilwoman Lucchese works with building officials, have you had a chance to look at this, and what are your thoughts?
Yeah, it's super basic. I mean, going back to, so just to explain to everybody what is happening and what the process is for getting a contractor is the city cannot just go out and contract with someone. We have to do fair bidding practices. And so a request for proposal is basically like a public announcement to any qualified contractor who wishes to get more information on what we're looking for as a service. So for example, this request for a proposal is pretty straightforward. It's just basically going, we would like to enter into a new multi-year contract with someone to provide building services for us. We put this RFP out into the world and people are able to view it. They look at our professional services agreement, which is standard. And then during that period, they can put in a proposal if they're interested in doing the work. So what it allows us as a council and city to do is we see who is interested in providing services, but it also allows us to take a look at everyone's funding structure as well, because one contractor may be more or less expensive than another, or one may be able to give us a certain service that another is not able to do. A really good example of this is we have an HR consultant contractor we're looking to hire. We went out for what we call an RFP, which is the request for proposal. We did that for HR, where the city council goes, this is what we would like to see from the HR consultant. This one's pretty straightforward because we're looking for someone to do building inspection services. That's what we're looking to do. So this will go out into the world if we're happy with how it's worded. It's
No,
so the county is going to be interim.
Short term. The county is short term.
Yes.
Correct.
And what we're looking at is a permanent.
Now, what the so really quick, what the council could do is if we put the RFP out and say we do get like several people who are interested, but it's $148 an hour, it's really expensive. We as a council could, go, this isn't going to work for us. Let's maybe look at doing something permanently with the county. So the county services is just a temporary fix since I was not part of the decision, but the four of you decided you did not want to stay with the current. So the county is the interim. The county could become our permanent, but that would be a future meeting after we see what is available for services in this area. But this is a general practice and a step that we have to take for fair and equal bidding is just to put the job out there and see who responds.
Can we jump in here for a second?
Yeah,
Because I just want to provide this information on what Councilmember Katie just said, and that's actually I talked to Ed Valenzuela today. And the county is very busy with their building services. And there is the possibility that they could take us on longer, but they really want to just kind of see how it goes for a little while first. So
When can I get it? If I call tomorrow, when can I get a building inspection? Any idea?
with the county, I am not sure off the top of my head.
Anybody can change my tire. I want a building inspection and I just was curious how long it might take. I'd like to tell my client.
To my understanding is you have a contract from Glenn for temporary that you got today is what you shared.
No,
No.
he said 2 to 3 weeks before I even get to temporary.
Okay.
And that was from Monday or Tuesday.
Yeah.
When I talked with.
So maybe that's an
Okay.
item we can bring at a future agenda or request additional, if it's not pertaining to the RFP. But that's,
I understand, it really isn't a conflict of interest, but he's a person who runs a business that requires him to get work done. And he's got clients that are right now unable to move forward. And one of them I happen to know personally, and she does, she's in a terrible situation for a month. So that's where we're sitting. We need to have somebody that can come in and move these along for all the different projects. So I'd like to find how fast we can do it. So whatever way it is, just to get somebody in that can temporarily just move things along while we work out with the county, because
it's not the item at hand currently. But typically for RFP processes, you put it up for 30 days. I don't see any RFPs that go out less than that time.
I understand from the
Yeah.
RFP standpoint, but that's what I'm concerned about. If we have to wait, then what are the people that have to build things between now and then do?
Yeah, they can call and James McIntyre is still currently here, but my understanding is you don't like that. But what I would suggest is outside of this meeting, contact the city manager and see if he can work something out where the inspector could step in if they wanted to. But again, you can't compel the county to give you a service
understand that.
not on contract.
What you just said is what I still don't understand why James McIntyre is still here.
Because we have to have someone to be able to provide inspections legally.
Okay, so my question about this and one final on that is, does this specify what qualifications they have to have?
Yes.
I was looking
they
for that,
do.
didn't
Yeah,
see
they
it.
do have that on.
Because obviously we want to have somebody that can do the commercial without any questions or problems, right?
Yeah, and again, so what'll happen is the RFP will go out, bids will come in, and the council could request to review all bids if you so choose. That's not a typical practice. Typically, you get other subject matter experts in this area to review the proposals. But within that, that would be a question of, oh, we're recommending this individual. And at that time, that's when, as a council member, you would go, I want to make sure they have all of
Yeah.
those certs.
Okay.
That would go into this. It is written into the,
Section 3, page 16 of the packet.
oh, thank you.
Page 16.
Yeah, I knew I saw it somewhere, but again, there's multiple points at which that you can
Okay.
request that certification.
Yeah, I actually was looking there and I missed it. So, okay. On the next page, I see
Yep.
there. Yeah.
So yeah, there's a couple of different ways that you can assure that you're getting the professional that you want. One is being very upfront in the RFP, but at the time that you get proposals, that's another thing the council can look at is, oh, this one may have more certifications than say another one. For example, clean rooms are very specific certifications. If you had like a facility that had a clean room, which is an industrial thing, you know, not a lot of people have that. The other one is a CASP, which is the California Accessibility Specialist certification. If you wanted to have a CASP professional, for example, you can, at the time of awarding the contract, you know, determine that that's something you're interested in as well. I would maybe not request a CASP, only because it's very, very expensive
No,
and
I
not
wouldn't think so.
necessary for all building permits, but that's just my personal thing.
But my bottom line is I really would like to see some way of getting somebody in here, whatever it is, because I think it's, the city cannot have that going on.
Yeah.
And so, thank you.
Yep.
I guess public comment? Unless
Any more questions? All right, with that, I will open up this item for public comment. Same rules as the other times, 3 minutes, 30-second warning. Please limit your comments to this particular item. All right,
I thought this would be such an exciting item. There'd be people lining up around the street to come in for this.
seeing none, I will close public comment on this item.
You'll get that when you get your bids in. I think that's usually the more exciting thing is the bid part. This is really just formalizing the going out that we're requesting them. So I'll motion to approve the request for proposal for building inspector services and to be released for response, and the responses would be due by 4 p.m. September 27th, 2024.
I'll second that.
All right, it has been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. All right, with that, we'll move on to item number 15, new business steampunk festival committee street closure request for community event.
So Mayor and Council, so this got a little out of order. It's on beginning on page 8 of the packet. So this is the annual steampunk festival and they're requesting a street closure. Staff recommends approval. We don't see any problems with it. It's pretty typical for what they've done the past couple of years, so.
All right, any questions?
No, move to.
All right,
Public.
I'll open this item up.
Oh, that's
for
right.
Public comment. Same rules as before, 3 minutes, 30 seconds, and please limit your comments to this particular item. Seeing none, I will close public comment on the item.
Move to approve.
I'll
Second,
I think Dave got it.
yeah.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
That was a tough one.
Yeah. All right, with that, we will move on to future agenda items.
Mr. Mayor. Yeah, with everything that's going on in the city and the way that people feel, I've always taken my job as a council member to listen to the people. I don't get, none of us, we don't get a dime. In fact, it costs us money sometimes to do our job. I try and do it very well. I've always listened to the people. And I'm listening to them now. I hope they hear me. Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to terminate the contract with Dunsmuir, the city manager, effective immediately at the next meeting.
Put that on the agenda.
I'll put that on the agenda.
Yep.
So I just made a motion.
Well, the motion won't work because we're not, it's not on the agenda, but he's saying put it on the agenda. So what you're
I
moving
made
is,
a motion to put on the agenda.
I'll second that.
Right. All right, any other items?
I have one, but it's already on there, but I do want us to prioritize the Dunsmuir revitalization plan at the very latest in an October meeting. Like last October, if that works. Yeah. I mean,
The survey, we're gonna collect with the language that we made in September.
Okay.
And that's processing time, so we'll probably be on that second meeting.
Okay, sounds good. No, I just
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
want to move.
All right. Meeting adjourned.